Disclaimer: this video is for entertainment purposes.
Meghan and Harry could face criminal charges, yes, actual arrest, over shocking financial misconduct tied to their multi-million-dollar charity deals. From secret offshore accounts to major IRS red flags, today we unpack the full web of royal deception, ending in a twist that could land the Sussexes behind bars. If you had access to $100 million overnight, what's the first wrong move you think most people make? Comment below. Meghan and Harry might have made all of them. When Meghan and Harry stepped down as senior royals in 2020, the world saw it as a dramatic act of rebellion. But behind palace walls, whispers suggested something more calculated. Financial investigations into their use of royal funds were quietly ramping up. If they had stayed, their spending and income streams might have faced deeper scrutiny from British auditors. Leaving the monarchy gave them both freedom and distance from royal financial oversight. It wasn't just about privacy. It may have been about protection. A swift exit shielded them from probes they couldn't control. They didn't just leave the firm. They dodged the fiscal microscope. At first glance, Archewell Foundation looked like a noble endeavor. Uplift communities, support mental health, and create global impact. But dig deeper, and the numbers just don't add up. Financial records show millions raised, yet key categories like grants to charity are shockingly low. Meanwhile, six-figure salaries and vague consulting fees dominate the balance sheet. Watchdogs are alarmed. Is this a mission-driven nonprofit or a financial shell game? Dual roles, shared staff, and overlapping budgets raise even more questions. Transparency isn't optional for nonprofits. It's required by law, and Archewell's math isn't clean. Archewell's tax filings didn't just raise eyebrows. They practically waved a red flag in the IRS's face. In 2021, their mandatory Form 99 was submitted months late, breaking nonprofit disclosure laws that are supposed to ensure public accountability. That alone can trigger an audit. But it didn't stop there. Discrepancies in income reports and unusually vague expense descriptions made things worse. 3 separate nonprofit analysts flagged the same anomalies in independent reviews. That's not coincidence. It's a pattern. When the IRS smells smoke, they dig for fire. Meghan and Harry inked deals worth over $135 million with Spotify and Netflix. But where did the money go? Public records show little evidence that the revenue flowed through Archewell, despite claims that the platform was meant to support their charitable mission. Insiders say the couple funneled earnings into private entities registered in Delaware, known for shielding corporate information from public view. Some call it savvy, others call it suspicious. Because when you blur the line between charity and commerce, you're inviting legal chaos. Big checks demand even bigger transparency. One name keeps popping up in Archewell's financial strategy. Their lead consultant, who's already been linked to 2 other nonprofit controversies involving misused donor funds. Now, federal watchdogs are revisiting her entire client portfolio, including Archewell. While Meghan and Harry may claim ignorance, hiring a figure with that history raises serious questions about due diligence. If this consultant is found guilty of misappropriation, Archewell's connection puts the Sussexes at direct legal risk. You're only as clean as the people you pay to protect you.
It's one thing to pay trusted staff. It's another to pay them twice. Internal documents suggest key figures, including Meghan's mother, Hoya Raglan, may be receiving compensation from multiple overlapping Archewell entities.
This creates what experts call stacked payroll, a red flag tactic often used to disguise personal enrichment. If proven, it could count as payroll fraud under both state and federal law, especially in nonprofit operations. 2 checks, 1 job, that's a fast track to IRS trouble. Private jets, multi-million-dollar mansions, and an elite security detail? Hardly the picture of modest nonprofit leadership. But here's the twist. Some of those costs may have been classified under Archewell's logistics and travel budget. That's a big problem. If donor funds are being used to subsidize luxury,
rather than charity, it violates core nonprofit ethics and possibly federal law. Even the appearance of impropriety can collapse donor trust and attract regulatory action. Charity and champagne don't mix.
Behind the scenes, California's Attorney General issued the formal notice to Archewell in 2022 for failing to meet compliance standards. While not publicized, this corrective action status is one step away from an official investigation. If the foundation doesn't address the flagged issues, missing documentation, late filings, unexplained expenditures, the state could revoke its nonprofit license or refer the case to federal agencies. It's the kind of quiet pressure that builds until it breaks. And Archewell's clock is ticking.
Fix it or face the fall.
A former IRS agent has allegedly filed a formal whistleblower complaint with the U.S. Treasury, directly naming Archewell Foundation. The complaint accuses the organization of fraudulent reporting, donor misrepresentation, and diversion of charitable assets.
This isn't speculation. Multiple outlets confirm that an internal review has already begun. If the claims hold up, it could escalate into a full-scale federal investigation. Whistleblower complaints carry serious weight. They're how the IRS uncovered massive nonprofit scandals in the past.
One file can spark an entire firestorm.
Behind the glossy image, Meghan Markle's financial history is riddled with quiet allegations. Her estranged father and half-siblings have publicly accused her of defaulting on private loans, claims that have never been fully disproven. Normally, this would be tabloid fodder.
But if any Archewell money was used to settle personal debts, it becomes a civil fraud issue, one that opens the door to lawsuits and forensic audits. When charity dollars cross into personal pockets, the consequences aren't just ethical, they're criminal. Debt and deception are a dangerous combo.
If you're finding this story more twisted than a Hollywood thriller, hit that like button and subscribe, because what's coming next might just blow the scandal wide open. In 2022, Archewell projected nearly $9 million in incoming revenue, but when their official filings were released, that entire chunk was missing. No explanation, no footnote, just gone. Financial analysts believe it was quietly reclassified or shifted off the books using internal LLCs. If true, this could be a blatant violation of nonprofit disclosure rules. Unaccounted income is one of the fastest ways to trigger a forensic audit. $9 million doesn't just vanish, it's moved on purpose. Even after leaving the monarchy, Harry and Meghan have continued using their royal titles, especially when fundraising or pitching projects under Archewell. That might seem harmless, but U.S. fundraising laws are strict about misrepresentation. If donors believe they were supporting royal initiatives, it could qualify as fraud. Multiple legal experts now argue that invoking royal status in charitable work may be actionable, especially across international borders. Titles don't protect you when money's involved. 3 corporate entities tied to Archewell are registered in Delaware, a state famous for corporate secrecy. On paper, these LLCs have 0 employees, no clear physical address, and yet they claim significant operational expenses.
This tactic, often used by large corporations, allows money to pass through companies with little public oversight. But for a nonprofit, that's a glaring red flag. It blurs the line between public service and private profit, and investigators know it.
Shells don't hide what audits reveal.
Doria Ragland, Meghan's mother, was quietly added to Archewell's leadership as a senior advisor, despite having no public nonprofit experience. Soon after, her name appeared on wire transfer logs linked to large consulting disbursements. No formal explanation was ever provided.
Was it legitimate pay, or a way to route funds outside of direct scrutiny? Even if technically legal, this creates a conflict of interest that could compromise the foundation's entire governance model. Family ties don't excuse shady accounting.
UK media outlets recently leaked claims from anonymous financial analysts suggesting that Archewell funds may have been routed through foreign accounts, then cycled back into U.S. businesses tied to Meghan and Harry.
This circular money flow fits classic laundering patterns, obscuring the original source, then reintroducing it as clean income. While unproven, even the suggestion has caught the attention of international regulators. Money laundering isn't just scandalous. It's a felony with prison time.
Tax specialists believe the Sussexes may have adopted tactics often seen in offshore tax shelters, like assigning inflated values to intellectual property, or delaying income recognition across fiscal years. By shifting income between Archewell and private LLCs, they could avoid immediate taxation while maintaining access to capital. The IRS has cracked down on this exact playbook before, especially when it's done under the guise of philanthropy.
Creative accounting becomes criminal when intent replaces error.
Let's be clear. Yes, the federal government can arrest nonprofit executives for willful fraud, financial misreporting, and misuse of charitable funds. The charges range from tax evasion to wire fraud, and each carries serious prison time.
If even one financial act was knowingly illegal and involved digital transfers, donor deception, or forged filings, it falls under federal jurisdiction. This isn't just bad PR. It's potentially criminal, with real legal teeth. No one, not even royalty, is above the law.
All it takes is one agency to press charges. Once the IRS, DOJ, or the California AG takes action, others will follow, triggering a domino effect of investigations, lawsuits, and frozen assets. Charities that once seemed untouchable have collapsed in weeks under similar scrutiny. And Archewell isn't immune. It's on multiple watch lists already. The collapse won't be slow. It'll be sudden, public, and irreversible. This empire was built fast, and it can fall even faster. What started as a fairy tale of freedom and fame may be spiraling into a financial reckoning. If half of this evidence leads to federal action, Meghan and Harry could face more than headlines. They could face handcuffs. Want to know how deep this goes? Hit subscribe now, because the next reveal could change everything.